Pretend like your left hand is the leader, and so it'll sometimes clear up that synchronization issue, okay? All right, we're going to do the next one. To the Debussy, and one thing I noticed that you were doing last week is that, and that's kind of what I was asking Celine just then. So so you're here, sometimes you're scooting down and scooting back and forth. If you can find the middle and lean, not do so much scooting. I mean, it's not like the worst thing in the world, but someone might make a comment on it. Okay. Mm-hmm. All right. Here we go.
Yeah.
From the beginning, yeah. heard all the way through without stopping, but the most consistent
Yeah.
tempo that I've heard, okay? And you know, there was maybe one thing of a miss right there in that. Can you
Yeah.
just play the right hand bar right there in measure 5?
Is that?
Yeah, this one. Right before that. I think, you know, this, you just need to be, this has a star, so it's one of those places that you've got a star spot. Okay, and the general, what does this mean in French?
Evenly without dryness.
Without dryness, okay? Just, you know, because that's what it's gonna say in, yeah, right. So I felt like it was even, okay? What's the dynamic marking?
Piano.
What's the dynamic marking down here?
Pianissimo.
Yes, but look at this. It says mezzo forte in parentheses. So I believe that means that that's an editorial marking in parentheses, that the original is probably pianissimo. But remember that it's relative, right? You know, this, I've used this before. This doesn't sound that loud just when we're standing here talking and you were playing, it wouldn't sound very loud. But if I could find it, and in the middle of the night, if I'm awake and I hear, it's going to sound really loud, right? So it's whatever's around it. So I think if you could just, you know, I don't think you should play this any softer.
Okay.
You might take this just a little bit softer, okay, but not a lot, yeah. Yeah, and you do a nice crescendo. Now think about, are you looking for your pencil?
Yeah, I have one.
Okay. So so a crescendo in say a piano, a crescendo there is not going to be quite as big as it would be. It won't be as loud as if it was within a forte. So if you're dialing back all of this dynamic, it's not going to get as loud as you did before, right? Right, so just make it a little more subtle.
Okay.
Okay? Because you have plenty of loud at the end. So save your forte and the fortissimo to the very end. Okay? Let's do this first page again, just thinking about how those dynamics fit together there. Stop it, figure it out. Stop, do it slowly, figure it out. Yeah, I think it's a 2. Da, da, da. Right. You'll work on that part. Yeah, go ahead. Actually, Simon, that was very subtle. It was much more subtle that time. And this, even though this is really fun to play, and the other place, and it does say crescendo, so you can get a little louder. So it does come to this. So save a little bit in these crescendos, but go ahead and give us kind of about where you were before. I wouldn't get that really much softer, because you are headed to an accent, right? Let's do this part right here again. crescendo quite so much. That's better, right, right. You can tell the difference. You're not throwing those last notes away. All right. I feel like this section you're very secure on, right? You're not used to playing it a little bit slower, right? You're trying to make the parts match in tempo a bit better, right? Okay, you know why this was giving you trouble over here at the beginning this time?
Because of the. I mean, this part.
It's that one, because this is the part you had trouble last week and you really practiced that one, right? So the one that you practiced the most is the one that wanted to come to your fingers. So let's just start here one more time. Remember, this one is. Right. So when your left hand plays with you, that should be the cue. That is the one that's going to do the. That's where it's different, right? Okay, do that one again. So this is a crescendo within a piano, right? So it does it a couple of times. Just don't let it get too loud. I wrote that, not too loud, okay? Let's take it here one more time. What are those notes? What are those notes? Do the first two in each group of these. This one first. Right, so that's a 6, and that's a 6. All right, so play now the first three notes. Right? F sharp, it's F sharp. Right, so what interval is from here to here? This is a fourth, and this one is a
Fourth.
and this one's a
Fourth.
and that one's a fourth, right? So it's the same pattern, just happening in different places. I don't think that's quite that's not exactly true over here, because this goes down a third and then it's a fourth and then it's a sixth, right? So it's different here, but it's the same intervals. Do it again there slowly, just thinking about that it's the same pattern, just in different places. To not move that finger and end up with a bad note, okay? Let's put it back over here one more time. Okay, the rest of it, what was the very first note? It was the thumb note.
G.
Yes, it's a G. Remember, it's the same G you play down here. In fact, it's not exactly the same notes, but the low note is still the G. Da, da, dee, da. Not exact. It is the same. These two are the same. So let's just leave that star right there. You still need to do a little bit of weeding out as far as what your memory's doing there. What's the best way to practice for your memory? I'm open to all kinds of suggestions.
Repetition.
I think you have to have a lot of repetition. What kind of repetition?
Good repetition.
Good repetition, which equals
No, or
no mistakes. That's right. If you practice something with mistakes over and over again, you're gonna make mistakes over and over again. So that part right there that is giving you a little bit of trouble, you need to pause right before that, you know, in your practice, to make sure that you remember, this is what it sounds like. Da, 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 da. Even you wanna sing it to yourself. Da, da, da. Something like that. So correct, making sure it's accurate and correct repetition. Because you can learn the wrong thing just as easy as you can learn the right thing, right? Your fingers don't care. You're in charge. You got to tell them which one you want. So you can. What did I just suggest right there?
Right here?
Yeah, two things I just said.
Stop and slow down.
Right.
And then make sure you're practicing it with no mistakes.
Yeah, and you can sing it to yourself. So you can hum it to yourself right there. And also, I think I never noticed this before. It's the same pattern as you have the first full pattern. It's the same thing, right? So I think I'm saying that's right. That's correct. I don't think I've ever noticed that before. The fingers aren't going to be exactly the same because you're using your 5 here and you're going to put a 5 here, I think.
Yeah.
But those are just some things that you can say, oh, I've already played it and I'm going to play it again. Okay, we know that this is a star spot. You're going to practice that. And correct repetitions are more important than tempo repetitions. Let's take it from here now. The book for the judge last time, didn't I?
Yeah, it's in there. You already got it.
Yeah, I want to look at it just. So,
Should be near the end.
yeah, I see it. No, that's not it. Here it is. Okay. So we're at the very beginning. Everything is 16th notes, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like everything is kind of in the same sort of emphasis. Change a little bit of emphasis because you have melody. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So what is happening here? Where are the melody notes for this part that you were just playing? So that you got to just back off on that right hand and listen for those crossover notes. Oh, sorry. Okay. So otherwise, it sounds too busy. Okay? Maybe start at the top of the page or someplace down wherever it's convenient for you to start.
Should I start like here? I can start here.
I know you can. Then let's start. Let's start here where you're going to start. Right here where you're going to cross over. Okay. Let's do it one time like this. Okay? Just tap those fingers. It's not easy. Tap, tap, tap. Yeah. Garcia used to say, it is easier to add sound than it is to take it away. So add a little bit of sound there, but so rather than singing, have to take away sound. And maybe not all those notes are going to sound this time. Just some of them are going to sound. Sound. It's going to feel a little bit more normal, but you don't want to go back to so much sound in the right hand. Yes. So I think you've separated those voices out a little bit better. So let's see. There's a yeah. Go ahead and write yourself a note. Yeah, that's great. So you might just think here. You know, he gives you three directions here. He says, take a stab. What do you think that means?
Left hand is expressive.
Exactly. So expressive. Here, within here, he gives you a little crescendo, and then here, a little decrescendo. Right. So there's just some shaping that you can put in there. Now I'm not trying to. I don't want to change. I think mostly since you have to play the Saturday, I don't want to change a lot of stuff. But I think if this would make this part just a little bit more refined if we could hear the separate voices and have that crossover voice be more expressive. Let me just take a stab at it. Maybe come back over here again. Okay. That was better. You might think about maybe not starting quite so loud down here. But just not so loud there. But less low note, less low note. There you go. Yeah. I may be kind of exaggerating a little bit, but why don't you make yourself a video, make a short little video of that spot and send it to me, sometime before Saturday, okay? So I don't want to change, not a big change, just a little bit less in the left hand, in the right hand, just a little bit less in that right hand, so you can hear all the voices, all right? All right, let's do, let's go here. And I'm going to ask you this one word here. This is an Italian word. I don't know if this is French. It always looks like pew, but it just means more. Okay? So this needs to stay expressive, just like you had. It's not so different than what you had up here. Okay? Now more soft. just, this is very, it's a big contrast, right? So it's not 16th notes, it's a little bit slower, different keys. Just make sure that the kind of the mood of it is a little more restrained, okay?
Alright,
Not too loud.
just like,
Just let's say less.
okay.
Restrained is a good word, but it just means a little bit less sound, okay? When you start it, so you have some place to go, okay? All right. Okay, let's just start right here. Now you can get in, now, I'll think all the way through here, so it's crescendo. This is where you should just make, this is making move right here, okay? Yes. Yeah.
Alright.
So, and this will sound more, it will sound more full, it will sound more exciting if you haven't kind of given away your secret back here.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's just like the beginning, a little bit less there. Not loud, okay. All right, let's do the, do we have time? Yeah, let's go back and do this again. Yeah, and I think if you want to shift yourself up there, do it, because, so you have, because that's what you practice doing. But you're not, you hadn't shift, this is the first time you shifted, right?
Mm-hmm.
You'll be fine.
Yeah, just like,
Yeah, I want you to feel comfortable, so you play those nice and evenly. Okay, this sounds, I like that time. Didn't you think it was better rather than have a little more contrast, rather than giving away your secret up here?
yeah,
Let's start here. Or would you rather start here or start here?
let me start there.
Okay, go to the end then.